So, in the space of reversing diabetes, in the space of health and being well, and in the space of metabolic disease, there is this amazing tool that we've been using called fasting. Fasting does three things that we talk about here on the show. It decreases insulin, it suppresses the appetite, and it gets rid of sugar. And those are the pillars that we talk about here on how to reverse diabetes. Hey, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. I'm talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to put their diabetes in remission, who want to improve their metabolic health, get off of medication, and who want to reverse their diabetes. Hey, if you're new to me, go ahead and put new in the chat because I'd love to welcome you with a clap and some music, and let you know that we're happy that you're here. If you do have questions as we go throughout the night, go ahead and put those in the top comments, in the chats as well, and put a Q in front of it, and we'll know that that's one that we need to get to. So glad you're here. As we do here on the show, during one of these check-ins, I've got my meters, I've got my reports that we're going to take a look at here in just a minute. So I've got my Keto Mojo meter, I've got my contour, and my test strips and so forth. And then I've got my report off to the side that we'll take a look at as we get through the evening, and just to see where we are in our fast and in our metabolic disease. So I have been fasting, let's see, 96 hours. Well, let's see, 72 hours plus 12, so 84. So about 84 plus another 6, about 90 hours. And this afternoon, an interesting thing happened. So tomorrow is my anniversary. And so in the office today, we had an anniversary cake. And my wife went, she cut it, we got a plate, she stuck a fork in it, and there was some anniversary cake. But we're going to take a look to see what happened to my blood sugars after 90 hours, a little over 90 hours of fasting, and where my blood sugars are, or where they went, with a bit of anniversary cake. Before we do that, let's hop over and let's take a look at, and let's do a quick check-in so that you know how I was feeling, and also we'll talk about how I'm feeling right now. And so in the process of fasting, we talk about how I'm feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally. And right now, in terms of physically, I'm feeling good. So I had a small piece, probably about an inch square, less than an inch square, of chocolate and vanilla anniversary cake. About 1 o'clock this afternoon. We'll see what my blood sugars did and what they are right now. So at the time, I was up to about 90 hours or so of fasting, was not feeling lightheaded, dizzy, sweaty, any of those, or palpitations, any of those things that we tend to think of and associate with fasting if we're not doing a good job of maintaining good rest and hydration. So right then was not feeling near those. As I mentioned before, I was feeling a little tired earlier in the week, but then yesterday I came home, slept. As soon as I walked into the house, got into a camping cot that I was testing out because we're going camping later on this summer, and fell asleep, and I slept for about 4 hours. And then, of course, you guys know we came and did our check-in last night. So I actually was feeling quite rested, went back to sleep, feeling rested, and today was great. Mentally feeling clear, not feeling foggy, lightheaded, dizzy, any of those things, cloudy thought. Don't have any of those right then, or had then, and of course now not feeling any of that either. And then emotionally excited to be celebrating an anniversary here coming up tomorrow and getting into the weekend. So feeling pretty pumped, feeling excited about where I am. So mentally, physically, mentally, and emotionally doing well. And for you that are out there, remember, as you get into a fast, the reason for sometimes having issues with any of these is because we did not do a good job of resting prior to, of course, making sure that we're hydrated and then dealing with any stressful events and or situations as we get into the rest of the fast. So if we do a good job of those, typically the fast goes well. Last night we talked about reasons why people don't fast. Go back and watch that show because it was a very interesting one, looking at some of those reasons, and some of the things that we talked about will mitigate what you're seeing here in terms of what we're feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally as we get into the fast. Let's go ahead and let's hop over and let's take a look at where my blood sugars are right now, and we'll kind of look back here in a little while at the report to see what happened earlier this week or earlier today. Right now, my Libre, which is what you're seeing on the screen, says that the blood sugars are, or blood sugar is 57. And if you look down at the graph at the bottom, you'll see that most of the afternoon we were riding below 70. Okay, so 70, actually well below 70. So we were probably in the 60s, now in 57. And then if I look over at my Dexcom, it's saying 74. Okay, so as you know, Dexcom, Libre, they can be about 20% off. We'll see what my numbers are here on my with my actual finger stick in just a minute. But 74 for the Dexcom and 57 for the Libre. And I'm gonna see if I can, probably can't leave them both up at the same time. You won't be able to see them, but you get the idea. So 74 and then 57. Okay, let's see what the Keto Mojo and the Contour say. So the Keto Mojo will give me both a glucose and a ketone level, and of course the Contour will give me the glucose. So let's go ahead and let's get a strip into each of them. And this is the Contour that we're putting in first. And then, of course, the Keto Mojo. We're going to go ahead and start, like I always do, with the glucose. I'm going to get that strip out of there. We got those both set up. And then let's go ahead and grab, let's see, let's use one of these spring-loaded, and I'm getting an extra one just in case. These spring-loaded Lancets. And these, basically you break off this purple part at the top. And this is a spring loaded Lancet. So when I press that, the spring will come out and do a stick. I'm going to go ahead and hold this up to the mic so that you guys can hear. And let's see if we did a good job. Maybe fairly good job. Let's see, we'll get maybe a drop there. I may have to do another poke, but we'll see. So that one was good enough. Okay, and I think we got it. So that's the Keto Mojo and of course the Contour. So 57 or 59, sorry, for the Keto Mojo, and 57. So both of those are in keeping with what the Libre is saying that I am. And then for this one, we're going to go ahead and take that strip out and open up the ketone strip. Get that in there, and then we'll get those ketones going. All right, and like I always do, I'm going to tease you guys by not showing you what that number is. We'll come back and we'll look at that here in just a minute. So as we're talking about our topic tonight, we're talking about autophagy. Autophagy. If you've not done so yet, our show this past Monday was dealing with calories. So we started a subsection or sub-series, if you will, on our main show talking about calories and the part that they play. If you've not done so, go ahead and make sure you head over there because that's a very interesting topic, the decision or the disagreement between whether we should count calories or we should do something else. But it's a great place, and we started that conversation on this past Monday. But tonight we're talking about autophagy. We're talking about autophagy, and how autophagy plays in. And why do we want to talk about autophagy now? This is a check-in. This is a check-in that I'm doing for fasting. And one of the amazing ways of getting our bodies into autophagy is through the process of fasting. So what is autophagy? Autophagy is the process that breaks down and recycles damaged cells, proteins, organelles, and is crucial for maintaining cellular health, reducing inflammation, and preventing disease progression. So just relatively recently, within the last within the last 5-6 years, a Nobel Prize was given for the physician who discovered this process. This is the process where the body goes out and it recycles, reclaims broken, damaged, unused parts of itself, and it begins to recycle those into new components that it can use then to begin rebuilding and repairing itself, right? So that's what autophagy is. And proteins, organelles are smaller components within the cell that that do different functions in the body. So the body as a whole is made up of organs and other tissues, and within those organs and tissues there are cells. For instance, we have red cells that carry oxygen. We have white cells that fight infection and other things that enter foreign substances that come into the body. And then within the cells there are different smaller subunits, basically the factories within the cells that are doing all the things that we think of when we think of the body functioning. Right? So that's autophagy. So autophagy, the mechanism, once again, so it targets and removes damaged, dysfunctional components within the cell. It's the recycling. So it's a cellular cleanup, it's a recycling, and it's the process where the body basically recycles cellular debris into usable building blocks for repair and regeneration. So think of this kind of like our current recycling. So you take old newspapers and you put them out for the recycling, or you take your aluminum cans and cardboard boxes and so forth, and those go to the recycling system. And once they get into that system, then they're used to make new products. So it's old stuff that we take to make new products, so the recycling. And then the homeostasis. So not just cellular cleanup, not just the recycling, but homeostasis. And homeostasis is that process where it helps to maintain cellular stability, and it's essential for health within the cells. So autophagy, because of all of this, there are a lot of places where it could potentially, and is being studied and has been shown to have improvement and benefit. Okay, improvement and benefit. One of the big places where autophagy is being studied and is being, we're seeing benefits, is with neurodegenerative diseases. And neurodegenerative diseases are all those diseases that we have come to put into a sort of category where we're talking about dementia and also other neurologic issues, right? So things like Alzheimer's. Now, I was saying yesterday, I was talking to some folks, and it is amazing that we have so many people now that we encounter that have dementia. It seems like it's an epidemic, it's a pandemic. Everywhere we turn, we're seeing people who have signs of dementia, or families that are dealing with it. And with respect to Alzheimer's disease, the thing that causes Alzheimer's disease, or the defect, if you will, not that causes it, but the defect is these beta amyloid plaques and tau tangles that can build up and cause problems for the transfer of information within the nervous system. And so autophagy, because of its ability to clean up, recycle, and get rid of damaged cells and organelles and repair them, it seems to reduce neurodegenerative cognitive decline. So it basically cleans up those the amyloid beta plaques and the tau tangles, those things that are causing or that are the defect within the realm of Alzheimer's disease. Parkinson's disease, another one of those neurodegenerative diseases, and it seems to help to clean up also some of the inflammatory processes that are going on and those damaged nerves that seem to cause the problem for people who have Alzheimer's. When we move to things like ALS or amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, it cleans up those misfolded proteins and damaged organelles that seem to cause damage and seem to cause those signals not to get from one place to the other within the body of patients who have ALS. And the benefit of that is it reduces motor neuron damage, right? It decreases that. That's amazing. Also, in people who have multiple sclerosis, we were talking to someone, I guess on Tuesday I was doing a talk for a group, and someone in the group was mentioning that they have MS. And one of the places where this has been seen and studied and is showing good benefit is with MS, another one of those neurodegenerative diseases. When we talk about places for metabolic diseases, that's one of the reasons why we're using fasting, right? Because in the process of fasting, not only are we hitting those pillars, so decreasing insulin, suppressing the appetite, and reducing glucose, but we're also stimulating autophagy, and autophagy seems to have an improved process or improved ability to enhance beta cell function and to support insulin sensitivity. Remember, that's one of the things that we talk about when we talk about diabetes, that insulin sensitivity. And we here on the channel have been talking about how do we reduce insulin and how do we get your body to use the insulin that it has more effectively. Autophagy, a great way to do that, because it improves blood sugar by improving insulin sensitivity and seeming to improve the beta cell function within the pancreas. Remember, the beta cells are those cells in the pancreas that make insulin. And in the patients who have diabetes, for some reason, it seems like we're not able to make enough, or what we're making is not functioning well. And so autophagy helps to sensitize the body to the insulin that's already on board. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. We've talked about this as part of the group of diseases that fasting seems to help, right? High blood pressure, high cholesterol, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, coronary artery disease, and on and on and on. And so in the patient who has non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, then autophagy seems to remove excess fat and damaged organelles from the liver, and so it seems to decrease that process that we see in patients who have fatty liver. That's an amazing thing, because here we're going through each of the organ systems, and we're saying, hey, how can we recycle, how can we reclaim, how can we repair, and how can we restore homeostasis? The other place where this has been shown to help is when we talk about cardiovascular disease, right? So within the cardiovascular system, autophagy seems to clear damaged mitochondria and reduce oxidative stress. And oxidative stress is one of those big things that we talk about when we talk about the damage to blood vessels, right? So the oxidative stress seems to cause damage within the blood vessels, and the damage stimulates the the cellular repair process in the body, and that then causes the buildup of those plaques, right? So it's the damage that happens first, and then the body tries to repair it, and in the process of repairing, we get the buildup of plaques, and those plaques cause constriction, if you will, of the blood vessel, and that's what continues to go on to cause the problem within the cardiovascular system. And this process improves heart and vascular health. So amazing process within the cardiovascular system. How about when we talk about chronic disease, right? So with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, autophagy seems to clear damaged lung cells and reduce inflammation. That's one of the huge benefits of the fasting process as we get into autophagy in those more extended fasts, that it seems to reduce inflammation. COPD, a huge place where we see inflammation. And so it improves lung function as a result of that. Also, with chronic kidney disease, right? Chronic kidney disease, we see improvement in there as well, as it causes decreased inflammation and begins to remove bad damaged cells and repair those old cells, as we talked about before. And then how about with autoimmune diseases? Autoimmune diseases is the process where the body begins fighting itself. And so with autophagy, as we're decreasing the inflammation, we're decreasing the mechanism through which the autoimmune disease is happening, because we're reducing inflammation and we're clearing those damaged cells from joints, from muscles, from other parts of the body. And so the body doesn't see that anymore as an inflammatory process, and it alleviates those symptoms. Okay? Same thing for lupus. Lupus is another one of those autoimmune diseases, and so it seems to help with that as well. How about when we talk about gastrointestinal? So you're out there, you're struggling with Crohn's and ulcerative colitis. Let me get a drink. Here we go. Right? So it clears those damaged cells in the intestinal lining. And so it begins to, once again, reduce the inflammation that we could see, and that ultimately promotes healing. So these are all places where autophagy can show benefit, or has been studied, or is being studied for showing benefit. But a huge place where this can begin happening, where we're seeing benefit, is with the cancer. So in cancer, autophagy promotes the removal of damaged cells and can suppress tumor initiation. Remember, this is the process of going out and finding damaged, unused, perhaps mal-shaped, malformed cells that are out there, and recycling them to promote and to rebuild healthier parts of itself. And so if we have a cell that's out there, and cells are typically seen as foreign, right? So that's the whole idea. Or they co-opt parts of the body so that they don't look like foreign cells. And so autophagy has the ability to go out and identify those, to recycle them, to reclaim them, to break them down, and to create new, more workable cells in the body. And so the potential here is that it reduces our cancer risk, although it varies by different cancer types, but it shows tremendous benefit in that arena. So decreased inflammation, decreased autoimmunity, improved cancer or reduced cancer risk as a result of this, right? And also for other neurologic conditions like epilepsy. So it enhances the removal of damaged neurons and synaptic components. A great place for this really is for people who have diabetes, who may have neuropathy. Because remember, neuropathy is a damaged cell within the nervous system. And so autophagy potentially has the ability to improve that as well. And so the benefit of autophagy is huge. The potential for having improvement is tremendous in this process. And one of the ways of stimulating that is through the process of fasting. That's why fasting is such a huge component. And when we do our check-ins, right, physically, mentally, emotionally, one of the things that we're looking for, and one of the things that we talk about, is how our body is responding to the fasting process, right? And if we do a good job of getting into the fasting process, starting the process, and then of course making it through the process, and then breaking fasting, then we see great, tremendous benefit as a result. Okay, awesome. Once again, so blood sugar right there is 58. And what I want to do is I want to hop over and take a look at my reports so that we can see where we've been and what happened today as we ate that cake. All right, so let's see. And so here's my report. You'll see my average blood sugar over the last 14 days is 110. Over the course of the last 90 days, my average blood sugar is 104 with an estimated A1C of 5.8. And we actually did get blood work yesterday or day before yesterday. What's today? It's Friday, probably Wednesday. So we'll have those results that we'll share with you probably next week sometime, so you can see what my A1C is. Remember, this is about a month ago, and so we'll see a month later what the A1C is. My target range is 70 to 180, and I am in target 91% of the time. You'll see that there. And if I hop over and take a look at the graphs for the last several days, because we started this fast on Sunday, so we'll take a look to see what those numbers are. So let's back up and start on Sunday. And so we started Sunday night around 7 o'clock. And so right here, right at 7:01, blood sugar was 159. And then 24 hours later at 7:06, I think is what it was, 7:01, 107. So 159 to 107, that's 24 hours. And then 48 hours at 7 o'clock, we were 92. So notice the progression, continue to go down. And then, so that's 48 hours, 72 hours, which was last night. We're down at 72. And then tonight, well, you see what my blood, so at 6:16, it was 87. This is my Libre. And then, of course, my Dexcom, sorry. And of course, my current Dexcom says that I'm 73. Okay, says I'm 73. Now, what I want to do is I want to look, because right here about 1 o'clock was when I had so we were 69, and right about 1 o'clock was when I had the cake. Let me see if do I have a picture of the cake, I have some video that we took. Let me see if I have a picture of the cake itself. I think I do. Okay, I got a picture of people cutting the cake. I don't think I have a picture of me eating. I have video of me eating the cake. I'm not going to show you that right now. But that's the cake, right? Let's see. Let's pull that up. There you go. That's the cake. Happy anniversary, right, from the office. And so right here, pull this back up, right. So right here about 1 o'clock was when I ate that. And as I followed that, so we started out in the 60s, and then here was a spike right there. So 60s up into the 70s, got up to 80s, and then I didn't eat anything else. And so we're down into the 70s, 80s, and then up into the 90s, right? So that slice, or not slice, but a little spoon of cake caused a spike there. And so we'll see what that does over the next, before we do our check-in tomorrow, okay? So one of the things that I do want to see, which I have not looked at yet because I didn't see the number, was what is, let's get rid of that cake. And I want to pull up my Keto Mojo app. So we'll go ahead and get that restarted. And then we'll see that sync and see what my ketones are after having some cake there. All right, so, okay, so blood sugar is 59. That's what it was. And my ketones are 3.3, right? So still in ketosis. So great conversation to have here in just a minute. If I look at the actual graph, right? So the turquoise line those are ketones, and then tan line is blood sugar. So as I fasted, the blood sugar went down, and the ketones went up. So we started down here at 0 ketones with a blood sugar of 82. And then over the course of the fast, our ketones yesterday, when I did the check-in, was glucose was 64 and ketones 3.0. And then today, 59 for blood sugar and ketones of 3.3. So even though I had the cake earlier today, I remained in ketosis, which is a great conversation to have because people have asked me, can you remain in ketosis even after you break a fast? And as I mentioned before, I will try at the end of my fast, when I'm breaking the fast, I will try to extend the ketosis by not eating things that are high carbs so that my body, even though I'm getting calories in, typically protein, that I'm not spiking my blood sugar. And if I don't spike the blood sugar, then the insulin doesn't come out. If the insulin doesn't come out, then the ketones kind of remain, maybe not as high as they were, but remain in ketosis. And so for ketones, less than 0.5 is considered normal. 0.5 to 1.5 is considered nutritional ketosis. And then above 1.5 is considered therapeutic ketosis. And so there are people who are not fasting who keep themselves in a ketogenic state or ketosis because they're eating a ketogenic diet, right? If you remember, we talked a little bit about diets back, when was that? So several weeks ago on our check-in, where we went through the ketosis and the different foods that you would eat to kind of maintain ketosis. So you can not fast and still be in ketosis. Now, in this case, because we've been fasting for a few days, our ketones are high. We're in the therapeutic ketosis range. And that has great implications for the other thing that we've been tracking. And let's see if I could pull up. For the other thing that we've been tracking, which is our weight. Because one of the reasons for trying to be in ketosis, in addition to blood sugar management, is of course weight management. Now you see there, 182 is what my blood sugar or what my weight was just 622 this afternoon when I got home. And you'll see there my BMI is 26.1, body fat 22.6, and my weight 182, and of course fat-free body weight 141.4. And so those three parameters that you see there, the BMI, subcutaneous fat, and weight, are the three that we've been kind of working on to see if we can get those as much into the green as we can. For example, if you look at BMI, right? So for BMI, 25 is considered normal. So I am about 1.1 points away from that. And so for men, typically one BMI point is 6 pounds. For women, it's about 5 pounds. So right now, I have about 6, 7, maybe 7 pounds to go before my BMI would get into the green. And so 7 pounds was that 173, 175-ish, right? Now, whether I will stay there, we'll talk about goals in one of our shows when we do our main show at 7:00 Central on Mondays. That'll be one of the things that we talk about. What are the goals that we're setting for blood sugar? What are the goals that we're setting for weight? Because remember, weight is an ancillary benefit of managing blood sugar and reversing diabetes. So this is really not where we were going, but we know that if we're managing diabetes, doing a good job in metabolic health, then it shows up as benefit with our weight, with all of the other components that we talk about. So weight and blood pressure and cholesterol and polycystic ovarian syndrome, and of course non-alcoholic fatty liver, like we talked about just a little while ago, metabolic syndrome, and in fact all of the things that we just talked about, the neurodegenerative diseases, ALS and MS and Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and cancers, and all of those get benefit as we do the fasting that we're doing as a tool for managing our diabetes and reversing our diabetes. Okay, so that's so love that. Great conversation to have there, because those are always questions that we get about: can you extend the fast? Can you extend ketosis? Can you remain in ketosis after you break the fast? And the answer to that question is a resounding yes. You've got to be careful though as you're coming into the as you're breaking the fast, because you don't want to do lots of highly processed foods. You don't want to do lots of foods that have a lot of carbs in them, because that will derail the ketosis if you're trying to stay in ketosis. All right. Okay. So let's talk about how we proceed, how we do things, how we implement, and ultimately the benefit that we get and the potential, the power, I said potential that we have within our body, within our grasp, to be able to do and to make changes in our metabolic health. And so I've got my shirt on, right? So let me go back to that really quickly. So I've got my unlimited shirt. So educate, empower, and encourage. Educate, empower, and encourage. At your fingertips, you have the amazing ability to make changes in your life, to make changes in your health, to make changes in the decisions that you've had in terms of your metabolic health. And when I say metabolic, all the things that we just talked about. So if you've made some decisions in the past and you are suffering some consequences of those, that does not mean that you cannot at this moment make a decision to continue to improve your health from now on. You may have had a heart attack, may have had a stroke, may even have had some residual issues that came from those things. Diabetes may have been uncontrolled for a long time. That doesn't mean that that has to continue right now, because at your fingertips, you have unlimited ability to make change. By educating, by empowering and encouraging here on the channel, that's the thing that we do. That's what we do. And you get to make the decision right now whether you want to go along for that journey, whether you want to improve your health. I know that people have told you that this is damaged and you've made poor choices and you're suffering the consequences. Probably, but that doesn't mean that going forward you can't make better choices. You have tried things in the past that may not have worked, right? You've not had success like you want. That doesn't mean that going into the future it won't be successful. It is unknown, and you're not sure whether you can fast, whether you can improve your blood sugar, whether you can reverse your diabetes. That doesn't mean that you can't try. One of the things I'm teaching my son is just because something is scary doesn't mean you don't have to do it. Just because you don't know how it's going to turn out doesn't mean you shouldn't attempt it. Just because you don't have the skills doesn't mean that you can't do it. And right here, right now, just because of what's going on in the past doesn't mean that the future has the same thing. You have unlimited potential, unlimited ability to make change in your life. And that change comes, as we do here on the channel, by educating, empowering, and encouraging. We educate with the shows that we do. Because we've got to have a mindset change. We've got to have a frame shift, if you will, if we're going to be successful. And the shows that we do, the shows that we're doing right now, the tools that we learn, the podcast, the blogs that we write, all of that is with the intention of giving you more information to help you to begin making those changes, making those shifts in your life. We empower by teaching you tools, the HEAT model, emotional intelligence, how to create a 7-day menu, how to look at your medications, how to decide what medications we should get on or we should be off, the fasting that we're doing, how to fast successfully. All of those are tools that we're teaching for you to begin to implement the things that we're learning in the education component. And then we encourage. Just tonight, we had one of our community meetups so that the community together can ask questions, can hear from each other so that we can support each other in this process of becoming metabolically healthy and of reversing our diabetes. So we educate, we empower, and we encourage. And with that comes the unlimited ability. Always in a mindset of continuing to learn. And one of the huge tools that we've learned also is the HEAT model. The HEAT model tells us those things that trigger us to get off of our diet, to eat the thing we decided that we weren't going to eat, to break our fast, to not pay attention to our blood sugars. All of those things, the HEAT model puts a face on those. We break our fast, we eat our food for lots of reasons, but they fall into 4 categories. Number 1, because of habit, because of emotions, because of access, and because of taste. We create habits. We eat at lunch because it's lunchtime, not because we're hungry. We go to the movies because that's what we do, right? We get together with friends. We say, hey, let's meet over at the coffee shop. We eat a muffin. We drink some coffee. We drink some tea. We drink some juice. We're not hungry, but we've gotten into the habit of doing it. And so those social cues that occur around habits, those times of the day, or those functions that we go to that automatically trigger our mind to say, hey, we're going to eat something. I give the example of going to the movies and sitting in the movie, watching the movie before I realized that I had stopped at the concession stand and I'm sitting there eating popcorn and drinking some soda. We just get into the habit of doing it. Not because we're hungry, but just because. We eat because of emotions. Whether we're sad, happy, glad, mad, anxious, bored, frustrated, right? All of those things will push us through the decision that we've made to eat. And when those emotions get strong enough, I'm telling you, I was just talking to a group this past Tuesday and telling them that we pretend that those emotions, once they become high, are things that we can deal with. But it's kind of like taking a ride on a roller coaster. We get to the pinnacle of the roller coaster. We get to that top, and then we think that at the top we can stop that roller coaster from the car from coming down the other side. But let me tell you, when you get to the top, I've been on roller coasters. When you get to that pinnacle, you can scream, you can shout, you can jump up and down, you can hold on, you can whatever you want to do. But guess what? It's coming down the other side. And often we treat emotions that way. We let those emotions climb and we get to the pinnacle and then we try to stop them there. But guess what? It's coming down on the other side. And when it comes down, the things that are on the ground level, the decisions that we've made, we're plowing right through those. So sometimes you've made a decision that you're not going to eat something, and because of that roller coaster, because you've made it to the top of that roller coaster, it comes. And so the decision gets destroyed, and we eat when we decided that we were not going to eat. So you want to be careful, right? So we eat because of habits. We eat because of emotions. We eat because of access. And access is simply having the things around us. There are some things I can't bring in the house. There are some things that I decide I'm not bringing into the house, because if I bring them into the house, guess what? I'm going to eat it because they're there. So almonds and cashews are my thing. Ben & Jerry's ice cream, right? I can't tell you the last time I've had some Ben & Jerry's ice cream because I know I can't bring it over here. Because if I do bring it, guess what? It's on. And so you have to know yourself. So you walk by a coworker's desk and they have candy. As a matter of fact, when I go by the church office, sometimes I'll stop in to say hello, and I'm saying hello to somebody, and guess what? There's some candy there, and I grab a piece. I'm not hungry, but it's there. I go into the pantry, or so I walk by the kitchen, or walk by the dining room, and if there's something sitting there, go to my mother-in-law's house, and she has fruits all over the place. I walk in, there's a banana, I grab it. I'm not hungry, but it's there, the access. And we eat, not just because of habits, not just because of emotions, not just because of access, but we eat because of taste. And taste is one of those ones, right? So taste, I want to say to you, as I say to everybody when I talk about taste, is that we're never chasing the food. People will say to me, I love this particular type of food, or I love that particular type of food, or I just can't get enough of this food. We're never chasing the food. We're always chasing what the food does for us. We're chasing the feeling that it gives us, that calm. We're chasing the memory of the time when we went to that place that we felt so good, or the things that we did with our grandparents, or our mom, or our dad who are passed away now. So it brings us back to that. When I go to New York, I eat hot dogs, pizza, and Chinese food. That's it, right? So I love that. Why? Because it connects me. It brings me back to memories of my dad. As old as I am. And that was something I just figured out recently. So the food is not the thing that we are chasing. It is what the food does for us. Now, there is a place for taste. The perfect combination of sugar, of salt, and of fat. The bliss point. That's what the manufacturers want to create. That place, when you eat that food, you can't just have one. You go back again and again and again. So taste is very complicated. And here's the thing. When taste happens, and then we have access to the food, and the emotions get involved, it's very hard to decide, okay, I'm going to stick to my plan. Okay? So that's the heat model. And how do we do things here? What is the call to action? Our call to action is this. Number one, we want you to join the challenge. Every month we have a challenge that we go through. It is to help you apply the things that we're learning in the educational section. Number one, in January, our challenge was to figure out why we want to do the things that we want to do. Why do you want to be healthy? Is there a plan that you have? Is there a vacation? Is there a retirement that's coming up and you want to be able to travel? Is there a daughter, grandson, grandchild, son that you want to see go down the aisle, walk down the aisle? You want to see them graduate. You want to see them build a house. Whatever it is, what is your why? What is the thing that's going to keep you, give you strength when there are going to be days when you don't feel like staying the course? And those are the days that your why is going to give you the wind beneath your sail. That was in January. In February, it was to begin learning to fast and work your way to be able to fast for a 24-hour period. That was our plan. That was our challenge in the month of February, to work your way up to be able to fast for a 24-hour period. And now we have members in our community that have been fasting for longer than that. If you are shorter than that, that doesn't mean you failed. Anything that you do, remember, we're always looking for progress, not perfection. So if you have fasted and you've not made it to 24 hours, keep going. If you're 24 hours and you're going further, great. So one of our community members yesterday and in our meetup tonight was sharing that she made it to 24 hours and then some other things happened emotionally, and so she ate something. That doesn't mean you failed. We just, okay, now we dealt with that. Now let's move on. Let's get back on the horse. Let's get back in our on the saddle. One of the shows that we did early on was how to get back on track. Right? Go back and watch that. It's in the playlist, and I'll pull that up here while I'm talking. I'll go ahead and do that right now so we can begin talking about that. And then the heat model in the month of March was to figure out in the heat model which one is yours. Which of these triggers is the one that gets you most often? I'll tell you, I have 3 of them. Emotions, access, and taste. Yeah, I got 3. Isn't it interesting, though, that it spells EAT, E-A-T. Right? E-A-T. So emotions, access, and taste. And it often begins, and I know this, y'all. It often begins because I spend time up late. And so I'm tired and I'm fatigued. And I think to myself, oh, let me eat something and it'll keep me awake. And if I didn't have those cashews, didn't have those almonds, then I wouldn't eat them. But I remember the taste of them. And if they're here, guess what? I end up eating them. Now, I've changed to now eating cheese and peanut butter. And I was a little concerned because when I looked at my cholesterol levels, if you guys remember, they were a little higher than before because I had switched from eating carbs to eating cheese and eating eggs. And when I got my most recent labs, you guys will be excited to see what those are here when we share that in probably next week or the week after. Got a visit with my doctor coming up in not this week coming, but the week after that. Okay? All right. And then our challenge in the month of April was to create a meal that fit these parameters. Whole foods, minimal processing, no added sugar, starchy and non-starchy vegetables, healthy fats, lean protein, that was tasty, and that was the appropriate portion size. That was the month of April. In the month of March, it was to find someone to mentor. As we're moving through this new year, new you process, right? We want you to find someone that you could mentor, that you could bring alongside you, that you can share this information with. Not someone that you're going to say, hey, do this, and then move on, but someone that you're going to say, hey, let's go ahead and let's work this process together. Mentor someone. There are over 1 billion people on the planet that have diabetes and or are pre-diabetic. You can be a voice of change. You can be a voice of help. And then, of course, this month was to make sure that you got with your physician, with your healthcare team, and to go ahead and get your labs checked. We want you to check labs. We did a show that talked about the labs that you need to be looking at. So go back and watch that show, and so that you will know what those are. On our YouTube channel, one of the playlists that we have is the playlist that has all of the shows that we've done, and it's entitled How to Reverse Your Diabetes. How to reverse your diabetes. Let's see, and so here it is. Let's go ahead and take a look at that real quick. All right, so how to reverse your diabetes. And I was sharing with our community let me move that one back down. I was sharing with the community just in our community meetup a little while ago that I'll go back and do that. But we've done 26 shows so far in our series. And I keep moving those, so I won't touch anything else. 26 shows in our series. And then there is a playlist that's called How to Fast Successfully. How to Fast Successfully. And we've done actually probably 70 some shows in that one. Right now there are only 47 in there. I need to go back and put the rest in. But those are all the shows that we've been doing in our in the series. So there's lots of information that's out there. You want to make sure that you are taking advantage of all of that. And I'm so excited to see some of our community members that are out there. I see Jennifer. Hey, Jennifer, howdy, Doc. Glad that you can join us. Jennifer was in our community meetup here just a little while ago. Steve said he's just finished a 24-hour fast. Yes. That's how we do it, 24-hour fast. Remember, we're working to be able to fast at least 24 hours once a week. Okay, 24 hours once a week. So Steve, thanks you for sharing that. And Steve is saying, hey, Jennifer. Jennifer is congratulating Steve. Thank you. And he says, I need to get a ketone meter. Yes, so ketone meters are very good. And for all of you that are out there that are working on improving your metabolic health, being able to track these things, ketones, blood sugar, very important in how we see how our body responds to the different foods that we eat. And then we see some folks out there on Instagram. So thank you guys for joining on whatever platform you're joining us from. We are so glad that you are here. Okay. And I think, y'all, that's it. We've got an anniversary coming up tomorrow, so we'll be doing our check-in a little early. And then on Sunday, let me go ahead and pull that up. On Sunday, remember, we have our This Week in Review. So go ahead and join that. That's from 6 o'clock, starts at 6 o'clock in the morning. So you can listen to that. as you're getting showered and as you get ready to go to church, or you're getting ready to do your thing on Sunday, you can go, and that is a recast with some comments on the things that we've done here during the week. And let's see, where is it? There it is. Let me pull that up so I can share that really quickly. Week in review. This week in review actually is what it's called. Let's see, where are we? Let's grab this one here really quickly. And this week in review. So 6 o'clock Sunday morning, and let's go ahead and yep. So this week in review. So make sure that you join us as we kind of go through that. You will see that over the course of the week that we are putting out the shows at different times, different forms, to make sure that we have as many people as possible that will be able to view that and participate as we improve our metabolic health. Awesome. All right, and as I say always, I am excited when I get a chance to hang out with you here on the channel, because you are an important part of my community, an important part of this family that we are building. So I want you to make sure, I don't think I finished up our call to action, actually, right? So call to action, join the challenges. When you show up, tell your story, just like Steve was telling, or Teresa when she's here, or Jennifer telling us where you are. If you're here, claim your seat, right? Just say, hey, I'm here. You may not want to say anything right then, but as you get involved in the community, you begin to see the benefit of the community. Even in our meetup, right? You come in and sometimes people say, I'm not going to talk a lot today, but you may have questions, you may hear comments. We get to support each other. But here when you come, tell your story, share your story. When we hear from you, we know that we can do it. And when we see you having struggles, we can come alongside and support you, and we can know that we are not alone. And then invite someone, send them a link, send them a message, let them know that they can come and be here to be successful in their metabolic health. As always, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. And here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health in your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, new you. We'll see you tomorrow at our check-in. And then on Sunday, join us for This Week in Review. And then on Monday, we'll see you at our live show here at 7 p.m. Central. Good night, everybody. Have a great evening.